In this project, we'll be creating a theme called CleanCut, which is just that. It's a pretty simple, clean template. If I reload, you can see that we have a little bit of navigation when the page loads, and that's coming from animate.css. Okay, so we'll be using that in this project, and we're going to have an option to actually disable the animation if we don't want it. Alright, I'll show you that in a second. Now on the home page, we have this big showcase area, and of course the image, the text, all that stuff is customizable. The buttons here for social media, we can also add our links in the back end in the customizer. Down here we have some of the latest blog posts. This area in the home page I wanted to keep simple. I don't have the date, the author, and things like that. Just very simple. We have the title, the excerpt, and then an image, which I added the image rounded class to give it this rounded look. Alright, we are using Twitter Bootstrap. Down at the bottom we have a banner which is also customizable. You can change the image from the back end, you can change the text, and then down here we have a simple footer menu and copyright. Alright, so in our navigation menu we can load up drop downs, and that's possible by using the WP Walker class that we used back in the other Bootstrap project. If we click on one of the single pages, you can see we have some animation effects when it comes in. We have the sidebar that comes from the right. This down here comes from the bottom, and this is actually part of a custom template that I've assigned to this page. Okay, so this is actually a widget position, and you can see the banner I have on every page. And up here in the title bar we have any subpages that belong to, in this case, the About section. Alright, so we can navigate through that as well. That's another just standard page. This one doesn't have the bottom widget layout, so we don't have that. If I click on blog, that's going to be the main blog role, and you can see on this page we have the title, we have the date, the categories, things like that. We also have a read more button. If we click on that, it takes us to the single post with a large image. We have the metadata. Down here we have the styled comment section. So if we take a look at the back end, and I also have the gallery and the aside post formats. So let me see if I go to posts, and I think I have them in the trash. Let me undo that. Alright, so now we have a photo gallery and an aside post. If we go back to blog, you can see that this is the aside, which is just the title and the content. This is a photo gallery. Okay, pretty simple. If we go to the home page, you're not going to see those because we're using a custom WP query loop that is only giving us posts with the standard format. Alright, so it'll give us the latest 3 standard formatted posts. If we go to appearance and then customize, this is where we can change things. You can see we have the showcase area. We can change the image. We can even change the height. And we have the live preview here, which is nice. If we change this, that also updates. Alright, and we also have the text, which is this here. Now these icons, are these buttons for social media. If we go back, you can see we have this social option, and we can change our the links to the social media pages. Also, if you don't want, let's say you don't want LinkedIn, we can just go ahead and delete that, and it'll delete and they'll move to the center. So if you don't have a LinkedIn page, you don't have to show that button. We also have a MISC options, and this is just to disable animation if you don't want to use it. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll reload. And now you can see there's no animation when we load the page. Also, the LinkedIn button is now gone. Alright, we also have the bottom banner option where we can change that image, and we can also change the text. Alright, and then this also pays attention to the social links, and as you can see, LinkedIn is now gone from here as well. Alright, if we want to put it back, and then it comes back. Alright, so that's pretty much it. There will be some other things along the way that we haven't done yet, small things. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this project, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so we're going to get started on the CleanCut theme. First thing we're going to do is start with the HTML. We're going to create the Bootstrap HTML and CSS, and then we'll move on to converting it into a WordPress theme. So I'm at getbootstrap.com. I'm just going to go ahead and download Bootstrap. And we'll open that zip file up. And I have a blank folder on my desktop called CleanCut HTML. That's where we'll be creating the HTML site. So what we're going to want to do is create a folder called CSS. We'll also create a folder called JS. And while we're at it, let's create the images folder. Okay, so what we're going to do is get the bootstrap.css, bring that over to our CSS file. Same thing with the Bootstrap JavaScript file. Alright, and then we're going to create an index HTML page. Okay, we'll go ahead and open that up. And let's also create our style sheet. So we'll call this style.css, and we'll open that up as well. Alright, so let's get some base HTML tags in here. Title, I'm just going to say CleanCut theme. We're going to want to bring in the Bootstrap CSS as well as our custom CSS file. Okay, I'll just copy that. And actually, while we're at it, we might as well grab animate.css, which we're going to use for our animations. Okay, so let's see, download, and let's save that file. And then we're just going to cut that, and then we'll bring it to our theme or our template folder, which is right here. Okay, so that'll go in our CSS folder as well. Alright, now for the images, you should have an images folder in your project files. So we have the showcase image, the default banner image, and then these three smartphone images. So we're going to grab all of those, and we're going to bring them to the IMG folder. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that later on. Alright, so back to the HTML. We're also going to want to include the animate CSS file. Next thing we're going to want is a nav bar. So I'm going to go to Get Bootstrap, and let's go to Getting Started, and then Examples, and right here, Starter Template. I'm just going to look at the source code, and I'm going to grab that nav bar. Okay, a couple things. I want to change navbar inverse to navbar default. That's going to make it white or light gray. I'm going to keep the navbar fixed top because I want it to always be displayed. Project name, we can change that to CleanCut theme. And the links, I want these to be on the right side, so I'm going to add a class right here called navbar right. Alright, we'll have the home. We'll have about. Blog. And some of the stuff might be changed when we actually create the theme. But I think that's good for now. So let's take a look. Oops. Okay, so we'll open that up with Chrome. Looks like it's not seeing the CSS. Oh, let's put a dot right here, dot slash. Oops. Alright, so there's our nav bar. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to work on the showcase. So right under the nav, we're going to create a section, and we're going to give this a class of row and also showcase. Okay, now inside here we're going to have a container. Okay, in the container we're going to have a 12-column div. Okay, then we're going to have a div with the class of showcase content. And we'll have an H1. We'll have a paragraph with the class of lead. And in here we'll just say custom WordPress theme by you. Alright, and then we're going to have our 3 buttons. I'm going to paste those in. They're not actually buttons, they're just links that have the button classes. Alright, so let's indent this, make it look a little nicer. Okay. So if we take a look at that, nothing special yet. And you can see it's tucked underneath the nav bar. We'll fix that. Actually, we'll fix that right now. In the style sheet, let's say body, and we just want to say padding top 50 pixels. Okay, and the reason it did that is because we have this set to the nav bar set to fixed, so it's always going to be over the content. Okay, next we're going to have one of the sections. So if we look at the actual theme, let me pull that up real quick. Okay, so we have these blog posts, and what we're going to do is we're going to have this be section A with the gray background. This will be section B, and then it'll just switch. Okay, every other section. So let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to just paste this in. Okay, so this is section A. Basically, we have a container with a row, and then we have a 5-column div, or 6 when it's a small, when the browser is small, and then we have the 5-column over here, which has the image. This one just has the H2 and a paragraph. Okay, so pretty simple. And then I'll paste in the next one, which will have a class of section B. Okay, same thing, it's just the orientation's a little different. And then we'll have one more. This also has section A, and just has a different text, and the image is different. Okay, so we're using the pick1, pick2, and pick3.jpg files, which you should have in your project files. So if we look at it now, okay, it should look something like this. So next is the bottom banner, and I'm going to paste that in. Alright, now I'm not typing it all out just to save some time. It's nothing really that you guys don't know, so I'm just doing some pasting in. So we have a section with the class of banner. It has a container. We have one row here with a 6-column div with some text. We have another 6-column div which has a UL, which has the buttons, the link, the social media links. Alright, so if we save that, should look something like that. Alright, now obviously this doesn't look very good. We'll have to style it afterwards. I just want to get the initial HTML. So the last part we're going to need here is the footer. Okay, so we'll paste that in. So we're using a footer tag, container. We have a 12-column div here with a UL that has a class of list inline, and we just have a paragraph with some copyright stuff. Okay, so we'll save that, reload, and now the HTML for the index page is complete. So we can now create the About page, which will represent the inner pages. Alright, so let's open that up. Oops. Okay, and I'm just going to copy what we have in index. Alright, and then we're just going to get rid of some stuff. Okay, we don't want the showcase. We don't want, actually, you know what, all we want here is from the nav bar up and then the footer. So we can get rid of everything in between. Okay. Now we're going to want a title bar, which is going to have the name of the page. Also, if there's child pages, it'll have a menu with those. So we're going to paste this in. Section, give it a class of row and title bar. It has a 6-column div with the title and then another 6-column with whatever that sub-nav menu. Alright, so let's save that, go to About, and it should look something like that. So next we're going to have the main content and the sidebar. So we're going to paste this in. It's a section, class of row and page. We have an 8-column div, that's where the main content goes, and then a 4-column div with the sidebar. I'm also using a well class, which is a Bootstrap class. So if we save that, okay, now you can see we have the main content and the sidebar. Now we're also going to have that big area down here with the icons, and that'll be a widget. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in as well. And this is actually a lot of HTML, so if you want to pause the video and kind of copy it, we have a div with the class. We're using section A to give us that gray background. The animation classes I'm not going to put in yet. We're going to do that after. We have a row with 3, let's see, no, we have 6 4-column divs. Each one has a div with box content, left aligned, left box icon. So there's quite a bit of styling here. So you just want to get that copied. We have a title, we have a paragraph, and of course we have the icon. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. Okay, 6 4-column divs. So let's save that, take a look. Okay, so we're not seeing the icons yet because we haven't implemented Font Awesome, which we can do now. Yeah, let's do that now. Okay, so we want to click download. And you could use the CDN if you want, but I'm just going to get the file. So we want the CSS and we want that file there. So let's bring that over. Okay, and then let's also bring over the fonts folder. Okay, and then we'll go back and we just want to include the CSS file. Okay, save that, reload, and now we have our icons. Now obviously they're too small and the styling isn't correct, but we're going to get to that after. So now we have the blog page. So let's go ahead and create that. So this will be blog.html. Okay, we'll open that up. And we're going to copy what we have in index. Okay, we're going to change a few things. We don't want the showcase. So we're going to get rid of that whole section. Okay, we will need a title bar. So let's get that from the About page. Okay, we'll just change this to blog. And then we have our section A's and B's, so that should be good. Let's save that. And that's what the blog page will look like for now. Oh, actually, you know what? We want to put the meta info in and the read more. So on blog HTML, let's go. We might as well. No, we'll leave the H2 alone. We'll just have the read more. So let's put that down. Let's see, we want that on this side. So right under the paragraph. Some Bootstrap classes. Okay, and that'll just say read more, and we're going to copy that, put that on each of these sections right under the paragraph. Okay, we're also going to need the meta info, so that's going to go under the H2, and I'll just paste that in. Okay, just a div with the class of meta. Alright, so that should be good for the blog page. And then for single, that'll be the last page we'll create here. Oops, we want HTML. Okay, let's open that up. And I'm going to copy what we have in the About page. Paste that in. Okay, we don't want the bottom area here with the icons. So I'm going to get rid of that whole section. Okay, we do want the sidebar. And let's see, let's change this to post title. And then we'll have the post content here. We're going to want the metadata to go right above the content. Okay. And this will also have an image. So let's put the image right above the meta. So we'll say image source, let's see, img/pic1.jpg. Alright. Let's actually wrap that in a div with the class of post thumbnail. Alright. So if we click on read more, it takes us to the single page, which doesn't look very good right now, but we'll style that in the next video. Alright, let's see. Let's change the active class in the menu. You can see we're on the About page, but the home is still highlighted. So we'll go to About, we'll go to the menu, and let's take this class active and put it here. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the blog HTML page. Alright, so in the next video we're going to do two things. We're going to style it. We're also going to add the animation classes so that we can use animate.css. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video. Alright guys, so we have the HTML for our template. Now we want to start to style it. Alright, so if we go to our style sheet, right now we just have the padding top on the body. So we're going to continue on here, and we want to style the body as well as all the headings. Okay, and for those, we want to just change the font. Alright, and I'm just going to paste this in. We're going to use the Lato or the Lato font. Okay, get that in there. Next, we want the class of lead. I'm just going to set the font size for that. I'm going to set that to 18 pixels, and we'll set the font weight to 400. Alright, so next we have the showcase area. That's going to have all of its text aligned to the center. Okay, we'll have the color be white, and for the image and the height of the showcase, those are going to be dynamic. So we're going to set those in the WordPress backend, and to be able to customize them, we want them to be in the HTML or in the PHP file, not in the style. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up index.html, and we're just going to put a style tag in the head area, and then we'll add showcase, and we can put the height, so we'll set that to 700, and then set the background to a URL. And in here we want to say ./image/showcase.jpg. Alright, and these are going to be customizable in the future. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so we have our showcase area. We'll go back to the CSS, and let's do the H1. So we're going to add some text shadow. We're going to change the size and the color. Alright, let's take a look at that. Okay, so that heading looks good. Now we'll do the lead, which is this paragraph right here. So showcase, and we're going to say p.lead. And let me just paste this stuff in. Okay, same type of formatting as the heading, just smaller. Alright. Now I want this to be pushed into the middle more, so we're going to take that showcase content div, and we're going to set a width of 50%. We'll say margin auto, and let's say margin top 10%. Alright, so that just makes it thinner and it pushes it down. Now these buttons here I think are a little too close together, so we're going to go ahead and say showcase showcase a.btn, and let's just set a margin right 20 pixels. Alright, now we don't have the icons here, so I actually want to do that. In the index page, we don't have the font awesome style sheet, so we're just going to add that. Okay, and then down here where we have these, okay, we already have the icon classes, so we should be all set. Alright. So moving along, that's good for the showcase. Now for this, we have section A, section B, section A. So let's first style section A. Okay, we're going to say padding, top and bottom will be 50, and then 0 on the left and right. And we're also going to set the background color to light gray. Alright, and then section B, we can just copy that. Section B, same padding. The background, let's see, the background color should be white. Actually, no, we just won't include it. And we want to set a border on the top and bottom of 1 pixel, solid and light gray. Okay, same thing on the bottom. And then there's also a class of section heading. And I want to just set margin bottom to 10 pixels. Alright, so let's look at that. Okay, so section A and B looks good. So now for the banner. Okay, now the banner is also going to have a custom image, so let's go to our index file and we'll go ahead and just copy that, change this to banner, and change this to banner.jpg. Alright, and then we also want to add on here no repeat, and then we want to center. Alright, and then over here we'll also have our banner class. And we're going to say padding. We're going to do 100, 0. Color will be a light gray. And let's say background size cover. Okay, now for the heading, which is an H2, we're going to set the margin of that to 0. We're going to add some text shadow, and also the font size will be 3M. Okay, then for the social buttons, this will be banner social buttons. Let's say float right, and margin top will be 0. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, that looks good. Now for the footer, we're going to set padding 50 on the top and bottom. We'll set a background color of light gray. Alright, so those are basically all the core styles. Now if we go to About, let's do this title bar. So we'll add title bar, and that'll have padding 15 on the top and bottom. Let's say border bottom, and margin. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do the margin here. Okay, and then for the H1 that's in the title, we're just going to set the padding and the margin to 0. Alright. So for the subnav, we need to style that. So we're going to say dot subnav, and we want to grab the UL, and we want to float that to the right. We'll add padding top, and let's set list style to none. Alright, and then for the LIs, we also want to float those to the left. and we're going to set a padding right of 15 and also padding left. And then we'll do border right, which will be 1 pixel, light gray, solid. Alright, now we don't want the last one to have a border, so what we'll do is we'll say subnav li, and then we'll use the pseudo class of last child. Okay, and then we'll just set border to 0. So let's take a look at that. Okay, that looks good. Now, the single page, I think I put a class of page around it. Let's take a look. Single, let's go to about. Okay, and yeah, we have the class of page. So I want to take that class and just add some padding. So we'll do padding 20, 0. Okay, and that should also be in effect for the single blog posts. Yep. The image here, I want that to go 100%. I think we did the class of post thumbnail. So we want to set post thumbnail image width should be 100%. Alright, so now let's do the meta class. I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, margin bottom, font's going to be bold, border top, border bottom, and then some padding. Let's add some margin to the bottom of that image as well. And I'm actually going to just make sure that that class is only in effect on the page. So we'll say margin bottom 20 pixels. Actually, let's do 25. And then set the height to auto. Alright. So now for this part here at the bottom, there's quite a bit of markup as you saw. Okay, so that is this area here. We have all these boxed content. So there's quite a bit of CSS as well. So I'm gonna just paste that in. Okay, so starts right here. Boxed content left align. We have boxed content left align, and then the icon. Okay, so if you want to just copy that, or just get it from the project files. If we reload, now that looks pretty good. All right, now the banner should also be on this page. So let's grab that from the index. And put that in the About page right above the footer. Okay, now the you know what, the image isn't showing up because we have that on the index HTML page up here. So what I'll do is copy that. We'll also put that in the main style sheet for now. So we'll go up to where we have banner. Actually, I'll just grab that, put that in there. Oh, we're going to fix the location. It should be .. /. Okay. So the blog has it. Let's see. Single post doesn't have it, so we need to put it there as well. Oops, that's not right. There we go. Okay, so this is looking good. The last thing we're going to do is add the Animate Classes. Okay, so we want this showcase to fade in. Now, if you want to see all the classes, you can go to animate.css. I'm not exactly sure of the URL. Okay, so it's this URL up here, and you can see all the different effects here. If you go to the GitHub page, it has all the documentation, all the different effects and all that. So what we want to do is go to index.html, go to our showcase, which is right here, and we want to add the class animated, and then whatever the effect, in this case it's going to be fade in, and that's it. So if we go and reload, you can see it fades in. Now it comes in kind of fast. If you want to change options, you can actually do it in the style sheet. So if we go to where we have our showcase, I think the default is 1 second. So we're going to change it. We're going to say animation duration, and we're going to set that to 2s. Okay, so that slows it down a little bit. Now these, each side is going to come in from, for instance, this will come in from the left, this will come in from the right, same thing down here. So what we'll do is go to our section A inside of our index, which is right here, and we want to go to this div here and say animated, and then I'm going to say fade in left. Alright, and then the other div, which is this one here, actually, you know what, we want to put it on the image. So on the image tag, we want to add the class animated, and fade in, what is it, right? Fade in right. Alright, so let's check that out. Okay, that looks good. So the next one, we're going to go to this class here. Same thing, we're going to say animated, fade in left, and then on the image class, fade in right. Okay, so you can see how easy this is. And you can do it to virtually any element on your site or application. I did the wrong direction for the middle one, section B. Let's see. So section B, this one needs to be right, and then this one should be left. There we go. Alright, so we want the same thing on the blog page. So let's go to blog HTML. Okay, we'll add those classes. Section A. Fade in left. I'm just going to copy that. This one will be fade in right at the top, and then this one will be fade in left. Okay, and then this last one, alright. Now on the About page, we want this part to come in from the bottom and the sidebar to come in from the right. So let's go to About, and let's see, we want this right here. That's going to be fade in bottom. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, it's fading up. You want the direction it's coming in. There we go. And then for the sidebar, which is right here, we're going to attach to this well div. And this will be fade in left. Nope, fade in right. Oh, what happened? And there we go. Okay, so now we have our animations. So that's it for the HTML template. In the next video, we're going to try to incorporate this into a WordPress theme. Hey guys, in this video, we're going to start to take that HTML template that we created and turn it into a WordPress theme. So what I have here at localhost WordPress 2p, I have a default WordPress installation. Okay, I haven't added or changed anything. So if you want to be on the same page as me through this section, then just get a default WordPress installation up and running. All right, so in the themes folder, which is in WP content/themes, I created a folder called CleanCut, and that's going to be the theme folder. And as you can see, it's empty. I also have it open in Sublime Text. So what I'm going to do now is create the two files that are absolutely needed for any theme, and that is style.css and index.php. Alright, and then in styled CSS, we're going to add our comment with our theme information. So we'll say theme name, and that's going to be CleanCut. We'll do author. Feel free to put your own name. Author URI. Let's do description. And version. Okay, we'll save that. And I have a screenshot image that I'm gonna put up, which you should have in your project files. So you want to put that right in the CleanCut folder. So I'll paste that in. And now if we go to the back end and we go to theme, appearance, themes, you'll see right here we have the CleanCut theme. So we're going to activate it, and then the front end is just going to turn to just a blank white page. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is open up the HTML template folder, and we're going to bring over a bunch of stuff. Okay, so in our WordPress theme folder, let's create a folder called CSS. Let's create a folder called JS, IMG, and for fonts, we're just going to bring that entire folder over. Alright, in the CSS folder, we're going to bring over, let's see, everything except style.css. And JavaScript, we're going to bring over Bootstrap.js. Alright, and we're also going to need jQuery for the Bootstrap nav menu for the drop down. So let's get that real quick just to get it out of the way. Alright, so let's see, we'll grab the compressed version. Alright, we'll save it to, let's see, amps, www, WordPress 2p, content themes, CleanCut, JS. I'm going to save it right there. Okay, let's see what else. I think that's good. Now for the style sheet, what I'm going to do is open up the style.css, and we're going to just copy everything in here and then go paste it in the theme style CSS folder file. Alright, and then we'll grab the index.html and copy that whole thing and put that in the index.php file. Okay, save that, and if we go to the front end and reload, we'll see the HTML, but we don't have the CSS in effect, and the reason for that is because of the paths. Okay, if we go to our PHP file and go up here, what we'll need to do is, first of all, for the main style sheet to show up, we're going to just replace this whole thing here, this href, with PHP blog info, and then style sheet URL underscore URL. Alright, and then for these three, we're going to just put in front of them PHP blog info, and this time we want to say template underscore URL, and then we'll just copy that and put that in front of these ones as well. Okay, save that, reload, and now our CSS is being read. Alright, now this is obviously just all static content, so let's start to make this dynamic. So we'll start at the top here in the HTML tag. We're going to say PHP language underscore attributes. Alright, and then for the title, let's do blog info name. Alright, now in addition to the site name, I want the page title. So I'm going to put a pipe character, and then we can say PHP WP underscore title, and we'll just pass in some just empty quotes. Alright, so let's go to our front end and see what we get. Alright, so you'll notice that we just have the pipe character and there's nothing here. The reason for that is since we're on the home page, it's not getting a title. If we go to, let's say, /sample page, now you can see the page titles there. So what I want to do is create an if statement that if there's no page title, then just put the site description. Alright, so the way we can do that is we're going to go right here, and we're going to use a function called isFrontPage to see if it's the front page or not. So isFrontPage, and then we'll do question mark. If it is, then we want to say blog info description. Alright, and then we'll put a colon. Okay, so that's just a shorthand if statement. We're saying if it's front page, show the description. If it's not, show the title, WP title. So now if we go back and reload, on the home page we can see it says just another WordPress site. If we go to sample page, we still get the page title. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's move along, and in the Nav Bar, we're going to replace this CleanCut theme with the site name, so we can use blog info name. Okay, and we can also make this a link. Let's say PHP blog info, and we're just going to pass in URL. Okay, so now that should show us the site name. It also has a link. Now for the menu, we're using Bootstrap and we want to be able to use drop downs, so we're going to use the Nav Walker class, which you should have in a folder called _resources in your section files. Alright, so we're going to grab that and bring it into the theme folder. Okay, paste that in, and then we're going to create a file called functions.php. And we're going to paste that in, so we're going to require that file. We also need to set up our menus, so let's set up a function and we'll call it CleanCut Theme Support. And let's do nav menus. So we want register nav menus. Whoops, we don't want to do that. We want to pass in an array. And let's say primary menu, and then we're going to have another menu in the footer. Just like that. Okay, now we need to do add action, and the hook is called after setup theme. And then we just want to plug in the function name, and that should do it. Now back in the index page, we're going to replace this whole UL. We'll get rid of that. And I'm going to paste in the WP nav menu function with an array of options. Okay, we want to use the primary menu. And yeah, that should be good. I'm going to add a class right here called Nav Bar EX1 collapse. Save. Now if we go back and reload, we get this add a menu link because we don't currently have a menu here, so we're going to click that and click on create menu. We'll just call it main menu, and what I'm going to do is I want a home link, so I'm going to go to custom links, and we want this to go to, in my case, localhost WordPress 2p. Text will say home. Okay, and then I'm also going to add the sample page. Now down here you want to make sure that you choose primary menu, save, and then if we go back to the front end, we now have our menu. Alright, so that takes care of that. So the last thing I want to do is I want to create our header and footer files. So this will be header.php. This will be footer. And then from the index file, we're going to take from the very top down to the ending nav tag. We're going to cut that out, and we're going to replace it with php get header. Okay, we'll paste that right in the header file. And then we want the footer. We're going to go from the very bottom up to the footer tag, cut that, and replace it with php get footer. Oops, that needs to have parentheses. And then we're just going to paste that in the footer file. Alright, so we'll go back and reload, and it's still working. Alright, so that's it for now. In the next video, we're going to basically work from the top down. We're going to go and create our showcase functionality and implement the customizer. Hey guys, in this video we're going to work on the showcase area here to start with, and then we'll go from there. So what we're going to do is go to functions.php, and we're going to have a separate file for the customizer. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say require, actually I want to say require get template directory, and then we just want to concatenate /inc /customizer.php. Alright, and then we're going to create a folder in our theme called inc, and create a file, save it as customizer.php. Alright, so right here we're going to say PHP and then function CleanCut underscore customize underscore register. Alright, and then right beneath that function we're going to do add action. And the hook that we're looking for is customize register. Okay, and then we just want to plug in this function name. Alright. So first thing we want to do is add a section. Okay, so I'm going to just paste this in to save some time. Basically, we're saying we're taking WP customize, which we actually have to pass in right here. Alright, and then we're calling add section. We're calling it showcase. Then it takes an array of options. We have a title, which will be showcase, description, and then we have a priority, okay, which is 130. I want this to be at the bottom of what's there now. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Now I don't know if it's going to show up where we have no fields, but if we click customize, okay, so it's not showing up yet. We need to actually add a setting and a control. Alright, so let's go back in and let's go right underneath. And I want to add a setting for the heading. Okay, so we'll paste this in. Basically we're saying WP customize add setting. We're calling it showcase heading. The default is just going to be the text CleanCut theme, and the type is going to be a theme mod. Alright, so that gives us the setting, but now we need a control. So we're going to paste this in. So now we're using add control. Same thing, showcase heading, you want it to match that. We have a label, it's just going to say heading, and then the section we want is showcase, okay, which is the one we created. So if we save that and then go back and reload, now we have a showcase section. If we click on that, we have a heading control. Now for the text is going to be basically the same thing. I'm going to copy the setting and the control here and we'll paste that in, and then we'll just change this stuff. Say text, and we want to change it to showcase text, and the default okay, type is fine. We want to change this down here to showcase text as well, and we'll change this to text section showcase, and we're just going to change priority to 4. Alright, so now if we go back and reload, now in showcase we also have the text option. Alright, so now we're going to do the image, the background image, and I'm going to put that up at the top right below where we put the section. And I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so what we have here is the setting showcase image. The default, we want to set that to the default image, which is in the template directory, and then the IMG folder, and then a file called showcase.jpg, which you should already have in there. It should be included in your theme files or your project files. For the control, we're doing something different. Instead of just putting in an array, we're putting in this new WP customize image control. Alright, and then down here we have the array with the label, section, settings, and all that. We have a priority of 1. I want that at the top. So let's go ahead and save it, reload, and now in showcase we have this image option. Now it's not showing up there, and I don't know why. Let's see, image, oh, I don't have my images in there, so let me just grab those. So I'm just pasting in the showcase.jpg and the banner.jpg. So now you can see that we have this default image. So next is going to be the height of the banner. So let's do that. I'm going to go right underneath the image control, and we're going to paste that in. So it's a height setting and a height control. Showcase height. Default is going to be 700. And then down here we have the control. Priority is going to be 2. Save that. And that should be it for the showcase section fields. Okay, so it should look like this. Now let's actually implement this. So what we want to do is let's open up header.php, and we have this in here because this came from the index.html. What we want to do is make this dynamic. So the showcase height, we're going to get rid of that, and in here we want to say PHP echo get theme mod, and what we're looking for is showcase height. Okay, and then the default that we want here is 700. Alright, and then we do want the px for the pixels. Alright, and then for the image, background image here, let's copy that, what we just did, and we'll put that in here. Okay, we want to change showcase height to showcase image. Now for the default, we're going to say get blog info, and we're going to pass in template URL, and then just concatenate /img/showcase.jpg. Alright, so we'll save that. Let's go to the front end. So now we have our background image, and we can now change it. We can also change the height. Okay, so let's say we wanted to change this to 400. It changes it here. If we save it and go to the front end, it also changes. Okay, so we'll put that back. So we have the image and the height. Now we need to implement the heading text and the text. So let's go back to, actually we want to go to index.php and go right here, and I'm going to paste this in, get theme mod, except it's going to be showcase heading, and then for the default text we'll say CleanCut theme, and then let's do the text. Alright, save that, reload, and there we go. So we can now edit the heading, the text, the image, and the height. So now what we want is the social buttons. Okay, we should be able to specify our profile URLs. So what we're going to do is go back to the customizer, and we're going to create a whole new section. So let's go right here, and I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so this is the social section. Just called it social. Priority is 140. I want it to go underneath the showcase. And then the first setting and control we want is the Facebook URL. So I'm going to paste that in. Alright, so basically this is just called Facebook URL. Our default is just going to be facebook.com, no actual profile. And then we have the control. Alright, next will be Twitter. So paste that in. It's literally the same exact thing, except we're using Twitter URL. Okay, same thing with LinkedIn. Let's go ahead and paste that in. Okay, so we'll save that. And then in the back end here in the customizer, we now have a social section. Click that and we have our links. Alright, so right now we haven't implemented them in the front end, so let's do that. We're going to go to index.php and go down to where we have all of our social icons here. Now remember, if we don't have any text in the as the URL, then we don't want the button to show. So we just need to do a simple if statement. Alright, so let's go to, let's see, we're going to go right above the Facebook URL button. And we'll say PHP if get theme mod Facebook URL, and we also want the default here as well, which will just be facebook.com. So we're going to say if it is not equal to nothing. Okay, then we want this to show. And then we'll just say PHP end if. And we want to go to the href, which there isn't one here actually, so we need to create that. Okay, so this will be PHP echo get theme mod Facebook URL and the default. And I also want this to open in a new page, so we're going to put the target attribute, set that to underscore blank. Okay, so that takes care of the Facebook. Now, just to make this easier, I'm going to copy this whole thing we just did from the if statement down to end if, copy, and then replace these two down here. Okay, and then we'll just change this one to Twitter. Okay, and then we'll change this one here to LinkedIn. Alright, so let's save that. And let's go take a look. Okay. So let's make sure that we can actually change it. Now if I was to just get rid of this totally, the button goes away, which is what we want. Alright, so let's say facebook.com/test. Save, go to the front end, and that brings us to facebook.com/test. Alright, so now we have our social icons set up. Now we're going to want the same functionality in the footer, or I'm sorry, in the banner. So I'm actually going to grab, let's see. Let's grab from here. This is the first checking for the Facebook URL. We're going to grab all three of these and copy, and then down in the banner we're going to replace this UL. Okay, and then we'll just add the UL back. So paste that in. Actually, let's not replace the UL. We're going to just replace all the LIs. Alright, and then we simply need to just add LI to each of these. save that. And there we go. Now the banner I want on every page, so instead of just having to add it to every single file, let's just put it in the footer. So we'll grab that, cut it out, and go into footer.php and put it right at the top. And there we go. Okay, now we still have to implement the customizer options for the footer, as well as some of the other stuff, so we're going to do that in the next video. Alright, so in the last video we went ahead and implemented the showcase customizer option, so we can now edit the showcase, also the social icons and social buttons. Now what I want to do is work on the banner down here, as well as the animation. Alright, now the animation right now works. We're using animate.css, so that's really easy to implement, but I want to have an option to actually shut it off, so we're going to do that as well. Alright, so let's start with the banner. Now I'm going to open up inside of the ink folder, we have customizer.php. We're going to go down to the bottom of this function and add a new section. So I'm going to paste this in. This is the bottom banner section. Okay, we're adding it using WP customize add section, just like we did with the ones above. Alright, now this is going to have a background image settings, just like the showcase area. So we're going to paste that in. We have the setting, and then we have the control. Okay, we're using this WP customize image control, just like we did in the showcase. We're also going to have an area for the heading of the banner. So let's put that in there. Okay, and that's it for the banner. That's all we need are those two settings. So let's save that. And if we go to the customizer in the back end, we should now have a bottom banner section, and we can create we can upload the image, and we can change the heading. Alright, so let's implement these on the front end. We're going to go to header.php, and we want to go to right here where we have this banner style. And I'm just going to replace this with the dynamic version. Okay, so we're just getting the URL from get theme mod and then banner image. And then the default, we're just pointing to the template URL and then to the banner image. Alright, we're still using the no repeat center options. Now for the banner heading, we're going to save that and then go into the footer file and down to where we have, where is it? Right here. Okay, so we're going to replace this static heading with that. So get theme mod, banner heading, and then just the default text that you want. Save that. Let's go to the front end and reload. Okay, you can see we have the default options. If we go to the back end, and let's go to bottom banner, and let's remove the us. We'll just say follow on social media, reload, and now you can see that that's coming from the customizer. Alright, now for the animation, that's actually going to be pretty easy. We're going to go into the header file, and we're just going to create a conditional that's saying if it's enabled, then we want this animate.css to be included. If not, then we won't. Alright, but before we can do that, we need to add the actual section. Alright, so we're going to add a new section here in our customizer. And this is going to be a miscellaneous. So if you have any other things that you want to include as far as the customizer, you could put them in here. Okay, so we're calling it misc. And then we're going to paste in the animation option. Okay, so we have the setting, which is called animation. We're setting the default to 1. And then down here with our control, we're going to use this WP customize control. Alright, and you want to make sure that you use type checkbox. Alright, and let's see. Yeah, that should do it. So let's save that. And now in the back end, we should see a new section, misc options, and we have enable animation, which by default is checked because we set the default to 1. So now what we want to do is go back to the header, and like I said, we're just going to have a conditional statement here, and we're just going to say if, we'll say if get theme mod, and we want the animation option, default will be 1. Okay, so if it's enabled, then this link is going to be included. So let's save it. By default, it should be enabled. So you can see the animations enabled. If we go back and let's reload this first, and then uncheck it, save, go back, reload, and now you can see there's no animation. Alright, so that's working. So our customizer area is complete. In the next video, we're going to work on the front page, and we're also going to create a page for our blog. So we have all of our customizer functionality set up. Now what we want to do is be able to display the blog posts. Okay, so we want them on the home page, and we also want a custom blog page. So first thing we'll do is go into the back end, and we're going to go to pages. We're going to create a new page called home. No content, just the title. And then we also want another one called blog. Whoop. Okay, publish that. And then we'll go to settings, reading, and we're going to select a static page for the home page, which will be home. Post page will be blog. Alright, we also want to add that blog page to our menu, so we're going to go to Appearance, Menus, and just bring that over. Alright, and we also want this custom link that we have for home. We're going to get rid of that, and then we're going to bring home over. Alright, so we'll save that, go back, reload. Okay, we now have home. We also have blog. Now right now our index.php just has static HTML. That's why we're seeing this. So what we want to do is we're going to create a new file, and we're going to save this as front-page.php. Alright, now if we go to the front page and reload, it's going to go blank because it's looking at this file. So what we'll do is copy what we have in index.php and bring that over to front page. Save it, reload, and now it's back. Alright, so the showcase area is all set. We want to begin to look down here. Alright, so let's go to our front page PHP file and go under the showcase where you see the section A, section B. And what I'm going to do for now is just keep the first section A and get rid of section B and the second section A. Alright, and we're going to fetch our blog posts. Now this is going to be a little different than what we've seen before, because what we want to do is, by default, if we just put our regular while loop in there, it's just going to display that static home page that we created. And that's not what we want. We want a row of the latest posts. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, and let's call it latest blog posts, and we're going to set it to new, and we're going to use WP_query, and then we want to pass an array in there. Alright, in this array we can have different options, but the option that we want is we want to say posts per page, and we're going to set that to 3. So no more than 3 posts are going to display. Now what we want to do is, let's go underneath, and we're going to say if, and then we'll pass in that latest blog posts, have posts. Okay, we're checking to see if it has any posts. And then what we'll do is we're going to say while latest blog posts have posts. And then let's put colon here, and we'll say latest blog posts, the post. Okay, so you can see it's just like our regular WordPress loop, except we're using this latest blog post, which comes from this WP query. All right. So we want to go like that, and then down here we're going to say PHP end while, and we also want end if. Let's see, why is this? Oh, I never closed this. Okay. So down here, just to make sure that this is actually working, let's just say PHP the title. Alright, and we don't have any, I think we only have the default hello world post. Yep, so that's showing right here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just create some posts. Alright, so let's say add new. Now we're going to need to use an image. You can see down here we don't have that option for a featured image, so let's go to functions PHP. We're going to go right inside this CleanCut theme support function. And we're just going to say add theme support. And post thumbnails. Okay, so now if we go back here, reload, now we have featured image. So let's click that and let's grab some files. Let's see. Should be on the desktop. CleanCut HTML. You guys will have these images in your images folder. But I'm going to upload these three right here of the smartphone. And we're going to choose the first one and say set featured image. Okay. I'm just going to paste sample text in. You guys can use this or whatever you'd like. Alright. Now I'm going to put a read more here. See this insert read more tag? I'm going to put that right there. And then paste in some other text. Okay, because we're going to be using an excerpt, but I want to be able to target where I want that read more. So I'm going to just put it in there. All right, let's see, add new cat. I'm going to add a category here. Let's say web design. We'll add a couple categories actually. Let's say mobile development. Alright, I only want to choose one though for now. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and publish that. Okay, I'm going to add another one. And I'm just going to use the same content. Okay, title. And let's go ahead and choose the image. I'm going to choose the second one. That looks good. Publish, and let's create one more. Oops. And paste that in. Featured image, we're going to choose this one. And publish. Alright, so if we go to the front end now and reload, you can see right here we're getting the different titles. Alright, which is coming from this right here, the title. So what I want to do is get rid of that and then take this section A and let's go ahead and cut that out and put that right in here. Okay, save that. Alright, so now it's getting all of the posts, but we're getting the same title and content. That's because it's just static right here. So what we could do is like the title, we'll just get rid of that and say PHP the title, and now the titles should change. Okay, right here for the content we can put in PHP the excerpt, that changes the content. Now it's not seeing this lead class because it's actually, there's paragraphs within this paragraph. So what I'm going to do is change this to a div and then give it a class of excerpt. And then we can go into the style CSS down to the bottom. We'll say excerpt P. And let's just change font size to 18, and let's do font weight 400, and that changes that. So let's go back to front page PHP, and let's grab the image. Okay, so we have this here. Now obviously we're not going to use an image tag, we need to use the post thumbnail function. So let's get rid of this, and we're going to put in PHP the post thumbnail. Now we want to have a class here, we want our classes, so we're going to have to put in, let's first of all say we want the full image, and then we want to put in an array, and let's say class, let's see, class is going to be image circle, and let's do image responsive, and then we also want the animation, so we'll say animated fade in right. Oh. Alright, something's not right here. Oh, you know what? Where I put this div excerpt, I didn't change the ending P to a div. There we go. Alright, now you probably noticed that these are all the same now. We don't have the section B styling. So this is a little tricky. What we need to do, we're going to use some PHP to kind of break up our posts and kind of make, we're going to create a counter. We're going to have it be odd for the first one, even for the second, odd for the next one, and so on. Alright, so it's a little tricky. Just try to bear with me. So we're going to go right above here, and let's say PHP, and we're going to set a counter. We're going to call it I and set it to 0, and then we'll set section, and by default we'll just set it to section A. And then we want to go down to where our loop starts, which is right here. Alright, and we're going to take that I variable and we're going to increment it by 1 with plus plus. And then we're going to have an if statement, or an if else. Okay, and in here we're going to say I, and we're going to use the modulus operator, and then say not equal to 0. Okay, so right here this will be the odd post, and then this will be the even post. Okay, so there's a few things we want to set. We want our section class. We're going to set that to section A. Oops. A. We're going to set our left class, because if we look down here, we have this class here, and then this one here for where the image is on this side. And these are different depending on if it's section A or section B. So we're going to put it in variables instead. Alright, so let me grab this, copy it, and we'll put it right in here. And then we'll just replace, where is it? We'll just replace it with PHP echo. Actually, we don't need echo. Yes, we do need echo. Left class. Alright, and then this here, this is the section class, which will always be either section A or section B. Alright, and then this one here will be the right class, so we're going to cut that. Alright, and then the last thing we need is the image class, which is this. So we're going to cut that and just put image class. Actually, let's do IMG. Okay. So if I save this, it should look exactly the same. Okay, now we want to do our section B, okay, because this is all for the odd post, which is section A. Now to save on time, I'm just going to paste this in. Alright, and these are just the classes that are coming from section B like we had earlier. Okay, you can see that the left class is a little different, right, and the image class is a little different. So let's save that and then reload. And now you can see that whatever one is section B is formatted a little differently. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. So we want the same kind of thing, the same kind of effect on the blog page. Right now, if I click on that, it's still displaying index.php, which is just the showcase and then static content down here. So let's go to index.php. And we don't want the showcase here at all, so we're just going to get rid of it, that entire section. Alright, and then as for the posts, we're going to do the same kind of thing that we did on frontpage.php. So let's grab, let's see, we want from here, actually no, we don't want this. It's not going to be the latest blog post, it's going to be the actual default loop. So let's just copy whatever we have in the loop, which is here down to here. Okay, so we'll copy that, and then let's go to index.php, and we're going to get rid of all of this. Section A, B, A. Alright, and then we need to set the counter. And actually we don't need that. So down now we'll have our loop, our while loop. We're going to say PHP while have posts the post and then everything we copied from front page we can put here. So let's go ahead and save that. Go back to blog, reload, and there we go. Now I want things to be a little different. I want to have the meta data here and also the read more. So let's go back into index.php and go down to, let's see, we want to go right under the H2 heading. And I'm going to just paste this in. This is exactly what we've been doing in past projects for the meta. Okay, so we have posted on, and then we're using the time with some formatting, by, and then the user's the author, along with the link to the author archive. And then we have our categories. We're saying we're getting get the category, and then we're breaking it up using a for each so that we can display each category along with the link to that category archive. Alright, so let's save that, reload, and there's our metadata. Okay, now for the read more, that's easy too. We're going to go right under the excerpt. And we'll paste in the read more, which is just a link to the permalink. Okay, now we have read more. Last thing we want here is a title bar. So let's go up, and we can grab that from our HTML template. Okay, so it's this section right here. Copy that, and let's go paste that right below the get header. Save it, and there we go. So that's going to do it. Now you'll see over here in the title bar on the right is just a static list. We're going to take care of that later on. Actually, you know what? It shouldn't even be here for the blog page. So we can actually get rid of that completely. We can get rid of the 6-column div and then just change this to a 12-column. Alright, so we have our home page, we have our blog index page. Next, we're going to work on the single blog post because we don't want this, and also for the archive. If I click on, let's say, the username, that does work. We get the archive, but we want the heading to be different. I also want to be able to have the categories up here in the title bar. Alright, so we'll get to that. Okay, so we have our home page and blog page, and now we're going to start to take care of the single pages. So we're going to start with the posts. Okay, so if we click read more, it brings us to a page like this, which you could keep this style with the animation, but I'd rather have just a standard single post layout. So what we're going to do is create a new file, and let's save that as single.php. And let's go ahead and bring in the header and the footer. Okay, and then we're going to have our while loop. Okay, and then we're going to have our title bar, so we can grab that from index. Alright, now instead of just having the word blog as our title, since we put this inside the while loop, we can use the content, the title as our H1. So we can say PHP the title. Okay, take a look, and you can see now we have the actual post title as our title. So now what we'll do is let's go under this section, under the title bar, and we'll create a section, give it a class. Actually, you know what we'll do is just get it from the HTML that we created. So in CleanCut HTML, I'm going to go to single.html, and let's grab from here down to here. So that section. Okay, we're going to paste that right here. And then we're just going to kind of trade the static content for dynamic content. Okay, so we have our thumbnail. Let's get rid of this and put in PHP, the post thumbnail. And for our meta content here, let's replace the date with PHP, the time. And we'll format that. And then we're going to replace the username here with the author, along with the link around it that goes to get author post URL, and we pass in get the author meta as a parameter along with the ID. Now this here will be replaced by the content, so let's get rid of that. And then the sidebar stuff, we'll keep that like it is for now. So let's save that, make sure it works. Okay. So that looks good, aside from not having the comments yet and the static sidebar, but this part here is intact. So what we want to do now is the archive. So if we were to, let's say, click on the user, it'll bring us to the user's post, but I want to edit the title. So let's create a new file, and we're going to save it as archive.php, and I'm going to copy everything that's in the index file. Okay, and then we're just going to go up to where we have the H1, and we're going to paste in the same code we've been using for the archive title. Okay, we're just checking to see, for instance, if it's a category. If it is, we're going to use the single cat title function, and so on. So let's save that, reload, and now we have the correct type of title. If I click on a category, we get the category name. Now I think that while we're at it, we should do the comments. Okay, so if we go to a single post, we want to be able to show a comments area. So let's go to single.php, go down to, let's see, we want to go right below the content, and let's say PHP comments template. Save, go back and reload, and now we do have comment functionality. Let's just post something in here. Okay, so that works. Now it doesn't look too good, so we'll style it a little bit. Before we can style it though, we're going to create a custom layout for our comments. So we're going to create a new file, and we're going to save it as comments.php. And I'm just going to use the standard code we've been using. Okay, we have a div with a class of comments, we have a heading, and then we're setting a bunch of arguments. This is actually from the documentation, and then we're just going to punch it into WP list comments. Then we have our arguments for the form, and then we're going to punch that into comment form. So we'll save that, reload. Okay, looks a little different, but still not very good. So we're going to just add some style. Let's go to our style sheet, go down to the bottom, and we're going to paste this in. Okay, so I'll go over it. We have our comments class, we have a border, padding, and margin. The H3 has a background of light gray. Body, we have a border around the body, padding. The meta has a background of dark gray. Let's see, the meta image is going to float to the left. We have the time, we're just going to put a little margin to the left of the time to push it over. And then the reply link will have a dark gray background, And then we have the input and text area, which will have 100% width and some border and margin. So let's save that, see what it looks like. Okay, that looks a lot better. So we now have comments. Now let's take care of the sidebar. So let's go into functions.php, and we're going to go down here. We'll say widget locations. Okay, so we'll have a function called init_widgets. That's going to take in an ID. Okay, then we want to register sidebar, pass in an array, name will be sidebar, ID will be also sidebar, all lowercase, and then we're going to do before widget, okay, we'll do that. We'll do after widget, then we're going to do before title, and of course after title. Okay, so before widget, let's take a look at the code. So let's go to single PHP, and if we look here, let's see, oh, we don't have the animation, do we? Okay, so I want to be able to add some animation here, so let's actually just leave that for right this second, and we're going to go before widget, and we'll have a div. Let's give it a class of well, also animated, fade in right, and also sidebar widget. Alright, and then after widget, of course, we need to close that div. And then before title, let's do an H3. Close that H3 and save. So now back to single.php, we can actually get rid of this whole thing, and we'll replace it with our dynamic sidebar. Okay, we'll save that. Now we also want it, actually I think that's the only place we want it so far. So if we reload, obviously that's gone. Let's go ahead and add a sidebar widget. Oh, I didn't add the action, did I? Okay, so in functions.php, we're just going to do add action. And we're going to say widgets init, and then our function name, which is init widgets. And now if we reload, you should be able to see the widgets link right here in appearance. Alright, and then what we'll do is take the text widget, move that over. Okay, let's just grab some text. Save. And there we go. So now you can see it animates in. Now that H3 isn't parsing correctly. Before title H3. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so that H3 isn't registering. Oh, I have the quote, the double quote outside. That's supposed to be like that. There we go. Okay. So we're pretty much there as far as blog posts go, aside from being able to have different formats, which we'll get to later. But in the next video, what we're going to do is start to work on the pages. Because you can see if I go to a regular page, this is what it looks like. So that's what we'll do in the next video. In this video, we're going to work on the single pages as well as the sub-nav menu. Alright, so what we're going to do is before we add any code, we're going to create a couple new pages. So let's say add new. This one we'll say about. And as far as content, let's just grab some dummy data. Copy that. Okay, publish, and then let's see, we're going to create another page. We're going to call this one services, and this time we're going to choose a parent of about. Okay, I don't know, why do I have two abouts? Let's see, let me get rid of that one. Alright, so let's add another page and we'll call this one our team and choose a parent for that of about, and then we'll create one more called FAQ, and same thing, about. Okay, so now we have these pages. Now what we're going to do is go into our text editor, and in our theme folder we're going to create a new file and save it as page.php. Alright, now actually before we do anything there, let's go ahead and add to the menu. So we'll go to appearance, menus, and we want to bring over about. Alright, and I'm not going to get into the drop down just yet. Let's just save that, make sure we can see it. Let's put it right here. Okay, so we get a blank page. So let's go to page.php, and I'm also going to open up from our HTML template the about.html page. Alright, and let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's first grab what we have in single.php. Bring that over to page.php. And this is all going to stay the same. You know what? We don't even need the about HTML just yet. We don't want, trying to see what we want to pick out of here. We don't want this meta, so we're going to get rid of that. We don't want the comments template. Get rid of that. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so there's our single page. We have our title, our content, and I think that should be good. So if we go to sample page, same thing. That's what we want. Now for this about page, it has child pages. So what we want to do is display the menu over here on the right. Alright, so let's actually open up that about HTML page. And we're going to go to the title bar and grab this div with the class of subnav. And then we're going to go back to page.php, and in the title bar we'll change this to a 6. And then put another 6-column div, and then just paste that in there, the subnav. Okay, we'll save that, reload, and now we have our static list over here. So what we want to do is we want these to show the children of this current page. So instead of having these LIs right here, we're going to put in some PHP code. Okay, first we want a variable called args. We'll set that to an array. And let's do child of, and then we'll set that to get top parent, which is a function that we need to create. And then we want title underscore li. We just want that to just be empty single quotes. Alright, and then we need to call a function called wp underscore list pages. And we want to pass in those args. Alright, so now let's go to functions.php and we'll go down here. And I'm just going to paste in the get top parent code. Alright, so pretty simple. We're just setting up the global post variable. We're checking to see if it is a parent. If it is, we're going to return the ancestors. So let's save that. Go back and reload. And now you can see we have all the child pages and we can navigate. Alright, now I want to be able to know which one we're on by looking at this menu, so we can just add a simple class or a simple style in our style.css, and we'll say current page item, and let's set font weight to bold. Alright, now we can see what page we're on through the menu. Now another thing I would like to do is when we're looking at the blog, when we're on a page like this, I want to be able to see the categories up here on the right. So what we can do is make that a widget position, and then we can set the categories widget to that position. Okay, so let's go to functions PHP, and we're going to grab this, register sidebar. Alright, and then let's just change this to subnav. That can also be subnav. And then we're going to have this just be a div with the class subnav. And I don't want the title to show, so we're going to make this a div with the class of hide. And then change that to /div. Alright, and then let's go to our back end and go to widgets and go to categories, and we're just going to bring that over to subnav. Save. Now if we go and reload, okay, we're not going to see it yet. We need to add it to index.php. So let's go right here and change this to a 6, and then create another 6-column div. And we're just going to paste in this dynamic sidebar function, reload, and there it is. Now, the reason it's bunched up like this is because there's not enough room over here. So let's actually change this one to a 4-column and this one to an 8-column. There we go. So now we can actually navigate navigate categories. Now when we actually visit a category page, this is actually an archive, so we have to add that same thing to the archive page. So let's grab this and go to archive PHP and change this one to 4, and then we're going to add that 8-column one here. Okay, so now if we reload this page, now we can just navigate through, and we can set the active page to be bold just like we did with the pages by just adding an extra class here of current_cat. I think that's it. Let me just check that. Let's see. Oh, current cat, it's a dash, not an underscore. There we go. So now whatever category we're on is going to be bold. Alright, so the very last thing I want to do in this video is get the drop down, because right now we can go to menus And let's add these three, except we want to put them underneath about like that. Alright, and we'll save it in the front end, reload, and now you can see we have the arrow, but nothing's happening when I click it. The reason for that is we didn't include the Bootstrap JavaScript and also the jQuery we need to include. So let's go to footer.php. I'm going to go down to right above the ending body tag, and we're going to say PHP blog info. And here we want template URL, and then we'll say /js /jQuery. Let me see the exact name. Just copy that. Let's see. We need to put this in a script tag. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing with the Bootstrap file, JavaScript file. Okay, so let's save that and reload, and now we get our drop down. Awesome. So we're pretty much there. The last couple things I want to do is I want to have that bottom widget so that we can have those icons with the information pop up, as well as I want to deal with post format types or formats. For instance, if we want an aside type of post, as well as a gallery. Okay, so we'll get into that next. Hey guys, in this video we're going to set up different post formats as well as our bottom widget. Alright, so let's start with the bottom widget. Now if we go to one of these pages, we want that area to pop up with the icons and so forth. So what we'll do is go to functions PHP, and we're going to just add another position. So copy this, and let's just say bottom. This will also be bottom. And then for this before widget, we're going to paste in two divs. One has the class of section A, animated, fade in up, and then the container div. So after widget is going to be two ending divs. And then for the title, same thing, we're going to keep the hide. Okay, we'll save that. And then let's go into, let's see, where do we want this? Page. We'll do page.php. Actually, no, what we'll do is create a custom template for that layout with the bottom widget. So let's create a new file, and we're going to save it as, let's say, content bottom layout.php. And then what we'll do is copy exactly what we have in page.php, and then we'll just add that to the bottom. So we want to go under, let's see, this is where the main content is, so we want to go under that, and let's just throw that in. Okay, it's just going to check for the bottom widget. If it's there, it's going to display it. So let's save that. And then what we'll do is create the widget. So it's going to be just a text widget, put that in the bottom, and then let's grab the code from our HTML template, which I think we had in the about HTML. Yeah, it was all this boxed content stuff. Alright, so remember, we use this in the actual widget code, so we don't need that. We're going to get everything from this row, everything inside too. So we're just going to, whoops, let's start over. Okay, so we want everything in the row. Copy that. and we're just going to put this in as a widget. Save it. Okay, now if we go to, let's say, services, and we want the widget to show up, we have to select that theme. Now in order to be able to select that theme, we just have to add to the top here, we need to add a comment block. So we're going to open up some PHP tags and go like that, and then just say template name, and we'll call this bottom content layout. Alright, so now let's say we want it on the services. We'll go to pages, services, and then down here under template we can choose bottom content layout and click update, reload, and there we go. Okay, so it's only going to be on the services page. If we want it on the our team page, we can simply enable the template down here. Alright, we might as well do the same for FAQ. Alright, so now all these pages are using this template. So now what we want to do is take care of the post formats. Okay, in addition to standard posts, I want to be able to create a side post, which will just be a title and content, and then also a photo gallery. So let's go to functions.php, and we're going to have to add support for these post types. Alright, so we'll say post format support, and we're going to say add theme support, and then we want to pass in post formats and then an array of the formats that we want to accept, which in this case is just going to be aside and gallery. Alright, so let's save that, and now if we go to posts and let's add new, you can see over here we now have the option for aside and gallery. So let's say aside, okay, we'll just grab some text, publish, and now if we go to our front end, our front page, you can see that the aside post is there, and I don't want that. I don't want aside posts or galleries to show up here. So what we can do is go back into the front page.php and go down to where we have our latest blog post query, and what we can do is add to this an array. I'm sorry, not an array. We want to say tax underscore query, and we want to set that to an array. Alright, and then in this array we're going to say taxonomy is going to be post format, the field is going to be slug, and terms, now there might be another way to do this, but this is one way. This is going to be an array of the post types that we don't want. Okay, so we don't want post format aside, and we don't want post format gallery. And then we just want to go right here, put a comma, and say operator not in. Okay, that's what's going to make it say that we don't want these. Alright, let's save that and reload. Okay, so it's still showing up. Oh, you know what? It has to be an array within an array. So right here, forgot about that. and then that's going to end right here. There we go. Okay, so now the aside post isn't showing on the home page. If we go to blog, it is, okay, because we want it to show on the regular blog. Now, for the formatting, we don't want this. Basically, all I want is the title and the content. No image, no metadata or anything like that. So what we'll do is go to index.php, and let's go down to, let's see, right here. Alright, and we're going to do an if statement. We're going to say if has post format, and then we'll pass in format and post underscore ID. Okay, so if it has a post format and get post format, pass in the ID. Okay, if the format is equal to aside, alright, so this will check to see if it's an aside post. And we're also going to want an else if. So I'm going to copy this. Alright, and then here we're going to say else if, and then change aside to gallery. Alright, and then we just want a final else. Okay, so right here is if it's an aside, if it's a gallery, if it's a standard. Standard, we want what's been here, so from there down to here. Now instead of just putting that code in here, what I'm going to do is create a separate file. So let's create a new file. We'll save it as content.php, and we'll paste that in. Alright, and then let's go to back to index, and what we can do is just paste in right here okay, actually we need our PHP tag though. Alright, so that'll load content.php, and then of course up here we want to create separate files for aside and gallery. So let's go ahead and paste that in here. And we'll change this to aside. This will be content-aside.php, and then this one here will be for gallery. Okay, now we just need to create those two files. This one will be content-aside, and then we'll have content-gallery. Okay, for the aside, it's going to be very simple. We have our class. We're still using the variables, section class, and then we just have the title and the content. Alright, so let's save that. Go back and reload. And now these are all the same, but this one here is an aside post, so it just has the title and the paragraph, which actually we should change this. Let's change that to div class excerpt. Okay, now for the gallery, let's go into that file. And this is pretty much going to be the same thing. We're going to paste that in. We don't need the paragraph around the content though. And then I just want the heading. Let's see, the heading, I want to give that has the class text center. Alright, because I want the gallery to have its title in the center. So let's save that, and then we're going to go and create a gallery. We'll say add new post, photo gallery, and let's say add media, create gallery. I'm just going to choose these 3 images, and let's choose to link to the media file, and I'm going to choose medium for the size. Insert. We'll go ahead and publish and reload. Okay, so that's not showing up. Oh, I didn't choose gallery. Over here you have to be sure to choose the gallery format. Alright, then we'll reload, and there we go. Now we have a gallery, and if we go to the home page, it's not going to show up. We only want these the standard posts to show up. Alright, so that's going to be it for this project. If you'd like, you could of course add more features to it, but hopefully you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.